Hello everyone, we are Geeks Not Nerds. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince.
And today our question comes from a regular viewer, B. Hopkin1, who asks us if you could chat with any superhero, who would it be? And I thought that was a very interesting question until I started really thinking about it, and believe it or not, I had a hard time thinking of one. This one was actually tough for me. I thought of a lot more villains and like supporting characters.
Mm-hmm.
But we finally thought of something, and we're going to try it. And so we're going to put 1 minute on the clock. And Vince, would you like to start?
Sure.
Okay. Give me just a second.
It took me forever to think of somebody. I finally came up with two.
So what was the deal? Was it like, I mean, it's not that you couldn't think of enough heroes you liked. Was it just, you couldn't imagine having a conversation with them?
Yeah. I mean, how many people do you see? I'd like to have a beer with that guy. Like, I really don't like Kevin Smith's movies, but I'd love to have a beer with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he seems like a cool guy.
All right, 1 minute on the timer.
Alrighty.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say you're completely wrong. Anyway. The hero I'd like to talk to is Hellboy. I think, I haven't read everything that he's done, so maybe my questions would be redundant after I finish reading it. But I'd like to ask him, first of all, I'd like to talk to the comic book Hellboy and see if he's as much of a man-child as they make him in the movies. Because that is really absurd to me, how they get this goofy type of guy from the comic books, where he's very much so a very serious paranormal investigator. Now, maybe I'll get back to that after I say these other two questions. I'd like to know if he ever wonders if life as a devil being would be more interesting than the life as a man that he's chosen, or sort of man. Because I think that'd be kind of cool. Now, I wonder if he thinks his origin as a devil makes him more of a better paranormal investigator, or really if it's just his attitude, his personality. Because I can see him saying either way. I mean, he has that super strength and resistance to fire. And that big fist. Big fist.
You know what I'd ask him?
What?
Can I feel those?
Are they smooth? They are!
Well, they're obviously not. They obviously have rough... Anyway, I can't believe we're talking about it.
He sands them down. They'd be smooth.
The show is called Geeks Not Nerds. Okay. Alrighty. 1 minute on the clock for me. So once again, couldn't pick my favorite superhero because my favorite superhero is Batman. He wouldn't tell you anything. Like, you'd sit down with him and he'd just be like... And so I thought, okay, well, what would be the next best thing, right? So I thought of Oracle. Oracle's my response. Because I'd sit down with Oracle and I would talk to her about Batman, because you could learn so much more about Batman through Oracle than you could through anybody else. I mean, as Batgirl going into Oracle, she was around through every Batman period, and that's really interesting because she's one of the only characters that's really liked. I mean, Dick Grayson too, but like he changes a lot. And, okay, Oracle changes too, but I think that there's a drastic shift with Dick Grayson from Robin and Nightwing. They seem like nearly two different characters. You can see a real natural progression from Batgirl to Oracle. I think she'd be a fascinating person to talk to. She gets the superhero side of life and the cop side of life, which is something you don't really get from anybody else in Batman continuity. And those are my big ones. Those are the big reasons. I didn't think of questions I'd ask her though. That was cool that you did that. I wish I'd thought of that.
You know, talking to Oracle about Batman, wouldn't that be kind of like asking Terry Hatcher what Dean Cain's like?
What?
Well, you're super popular right now. What's Dean Cain like? Well, Dean Cain is this and that.
Well, actually, it wouldn't really at all, because Batman's always more popular than Oracle, whereas Dean Cain has, what, like no career, and Terry Hatcher's huge right now.
Poor Dean Cain.
That strikes me as that strikes me as a bit different.
Dean Cain is really short, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. My brother met him in Iraq, and I went, really?
Why was he in Iraq?
USO type things. He was just meeting guys to be cool.
Okay. That was the best person to make it fun.
Ouch.
I'm sorry.
We love you, Dean Cain.
I do actually like Dean Cain a lot. I like to make fun of Dean Cain though, because he's done some really terrible things. Not terrible. He has not terrible things.
He really has done some bad movies.
He's done some.
I just squeal laugh.
Dean Cain has done terrible things. Dean Cain's done some bad movies and some bad shows. I mean, you know, he did like something along the lines of American's Funniest Home Videos or something for a while, and some
I thought
really
he was doing
silly
Ripley's, wasn't he?
I think he did. Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that. Okay.
Well, anyway, 3 minutes.
Okay. Wow. Part of the other reason I said Oracle was because I think she would have naturally a really fascinating idea of the Joker, because the Joker is the only, I mean, she's like one of the only people that the Joker is like physically really done something to. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, she's got more of a reason to have a vendetta against the Joker than anybody. That's interesting to me.
Oh, yeah. She'd also have a really interesting life perspective. I mean, going from being a superhero, somebody so physical, to being stuck in a chair. I don't want that to sound negative, but it would be... You know, I'm watching Supernatural right now. One of the characters is stuck in a chair. He was a hunter, and now he is physically disabled in a way, and he's having a hard time coping with it. But Oracle manages to become so freaking useful.
Yeah. And it's really cool. And I think the other reason I've always been really fascinated with Oracle is just that Batgirl's such an obvious kind of idea where it's like, okay, we've got Batman, so we have to make a female version. And then they took Barbara Gordon and just turned her into like one of the most three-dimensional characters in the series. I think that's really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Just real fast, other people you thought of?
Raphael from the Ninja Turtles.
Are you serious?
Seriously.
What would you ask Raphael?
I mean, why so angry, Raph? Huh? Why so angry?
Because his bandana is the color red.
I'm like a bull, you know. I see it every day.
You said you only came up with a couple. I wrote down several things. I wrote down Professor Xavier.
Huh.
Except I figured he'd spend the whole time just reading my mind. So.
He could beam everything he wanted you to know into your head.
Into your head, and then it wouldn't even, yeah.
It'd be less like a conversation, more like one of these moments.
Wow. Viewers, start counting the amount of times he makes that face, because it could be it could be an amusing drinking game. No, Professor X would be cool because you know, talking to the guy that came up with the X-Men. Mm-hmm. So I guess Stan Lee should go on this list. Believe it or not, I wrote down Ben Reilly. I don't know why I thought of that.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose it'd be interesting to see what life as a clone is like.
Yeah. Well, and then you'd have a really hard time not bringing up the Weird Al song. Then there's
the original Peter Parker. I don't have to listen.
I wrote down Matt Murdock, because it just seems like Matt Murdock would always be an interesting guy to talk to.
You know,
on really any subject at all.
I thought about Daredevil, but I don't know.
So those were the big ones I had. So so you said Hellboy was kind of kiddish in the films.
Yeah, he was this sort of man-child.
I didn't really think of it that way at all. But once again, I didn't read the comics. So I mean, you know, I can see
he's not much of a man-child in the comics. But
yeah.
If you see Hellboy 2, which I don't think you've seen yet.
I haven't seen it yet.
Hellboy 2, they take what little he was of a man-child and make him more into it.
Oh, really?
He becomes incredibly two-dimensional.
Because I thought he was serious enough. But once again, the whole paranormal investigating thing, there wasn't much investigating in that movie in the first place, which was one of the things I didn't like about it. But
the comic books are really radically different from the films. And out of everything, both comic books and both movies, I think the first movie's the best out of the group. That's my opinion.
Well, we're all out of time. Which superhero would you sit down and talk with? This is an interesting one, and I think a lot of people are gonna have interesting things to say about it. I think next time, or possibly sometime in the near future, we'll do villains. Because I came up with more of those, and I think that's very interesting also. Also, if you have any ideas for other things we might talk about in the future, please leave that in the comments below. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Vince.
We don't hate Dean Cain, and we'll see you next time on Geeks Not Nerds.
We love you, Dean Cain. Oh, my pencil just stabbed me.